على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله ومن والاه. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. So, as I promised tonight, that we would like to talk about the challenges, and we will do it, inshallah, no problem, even though it's a couple of you. So, what I would like to say is there is so many of them, of course, and I will mention a couple of them according to our, as imams that we work together in the workshop, that we have presentation about these challenges from the different mosques through the country and Islamic centers around us. So not necessarily everything applies on us, but usually those issues are common between the Muslims, especially the youth. Of course, you can open suggestions, your suggestion, anything that you face, you are more than welcome. So, as a Muslim's youth, do you face some challenges? Yes, there is so many. Depend, of course, if you're a male, maybe less than female, and if you're a practical, and in difference if you're not practical, and for the woman or the girls, if they are covered, if they have a hijab, unlike those who don't have hijab because they cannot notice they are Muslims. And then it depends on the color, the language, the accent, and so many things. So, and you may face some of those. So some of those challenges are new, as we are going through these days. Some of them are new, and some others are old, but it's a little bit different packages, so they're putting different way, some updates and upgrades, up and down, and so on. So what I would like to mention tonight is what I try to cover in this tonight gathering. I will just mention a couple of them, and then I will stick only to this particular one that I would like to share with you. So the contemporary topics facing Islamic centers. We as imams, we discussed this topic as well in our yearly meetings, and contemporary topics facing Muslims, women in the West, food and medicine in non-Muslim lands, issues surrounding Islam in the media, the challenge of the atheism among Muslims youth, which is very, very increasing number that you cannot believe. And then contemporary issue facing Muslims youth in the West in the general, and then careers in between permissibility and prohibitions, political involvement, Muslims living in the West, and then any suggestion from you, of course, you are more than welcome. And tonight I would like to talk about the contemporary issue facing Muslims youth in the West, and I will stick with the number 6 that we just mentioned. So what is keeping the youth away from the masjid, from the mosque? As you can see, it's empty. There is no youth. There is no young people are attracted. And this is not only case in this mosque, any mosque. Some of them less, or some of them more, but no big difference. And then discussion of women clothing guidelines, and then this discussion of gender interaction, between them, and then contemporary social issue facing Muslims youth, contemporary worship issue Muslims face, addressing the debate between loyalty to Islam and the national citizenship. So these are things that I mentioned that we will discuss maybe every Saturday in every month. So maybe first Saturday in the new month. So that will be monthly, basically. If you are like to come, and then encourage some of your friends as well. So what keeps you as a youth from the mosque? Why are not coming? What's going on? Is there something in background? So I will share some of these problems, and we'll try to find the solution together. So As I said, we are as Imams workshop that was happening in the Houston, the Council of American Islamic Relationship in 2001 entitled "The Mosque in America." So only 41% of mosques have regular youth activity. You just I don't remember the number, how many mosques in the USA, but as much as we have, so but 41% of the mosques have regular activities, youth activities. So some of these things applies on us, of course, as well. And believe it or not, the majority of those, because here in Bowling Green, the Muslim community is relatively new. It's about 20 years old only. So we have a good population. We have so many young people, much bigger number than the old people. But usually today there are more Muslims in the in the percentage group age between 15, 25, maybe 30. So then this is what we have, because relatively new community here in this place, and that is going across the U.S. as well, and some other countries, but we will keep it facing here in the America. However, with this group being the fastest growing, in our percentage as a masjids or the mosques, and participation in different Islamic activities is minimal. So no matter how like we are growing, look right now we have like 27 different nationalities, right? So that's around how many? 500 people. So now we have 250 more from Afghan is coming. Many or all of them are Muslims. So the number increased, but do we see anything youth? So if we are not here in the mosques, and they are somewhere else, probably, some other places, and maybe, that's for sure. So that is what we have here, and those issues are going as a problems in general in the country. Okay. Now I would like to mention some of these issues that keeps youth far away from the mosque. First of all, immigrants. And the majority who are here are immigrants, who are mostly in charge of these centers, right? Majority, who is leading the what we call it, the board, is well known as a board. So they are leaders of these centers and still stuck in the third stage of immigration, which means they did not accept, as this country or this place as a new home, and that is the problem. So there is so many Muslims, especially when we have these huge differences, or the what do you call it, different nationalities. So everybody is trying to find the mosque in his place over there, overseas, because why we used to have something like that over there. And then we cannot unite, we cannot be as one, we cannot work together, and that's one of the issue that is going on. Everyone wants his idea, everyone wants to do it on his way, and of course everybody is forcing his way, and then there is no way, and everybody goes home and the mosque stays empty. That is one of the problems. So, and the majority of the mosques, of course, are built by the immigrants. So everybody thinks about, what you call back home nationality. So they're forcing this kind of the nationality, and forgetting about where they are. We are here, we have to learn where we are and what we can do, and how can we encourage our youth to come to the mosque, because this mosque or the other mosque or all the mosques in the USA or Islamic centers are not only for the immigrants, it's for the Muslims, for everyone. We should not make this a big issue, but the reality is different than what we have. Number two, language barrier. And this language barrier is it could be between imams or the religious leaders, or those who are in charge, and the youth. It could be imam, because there is some imams are immigrants, and they are using their own language, and the majority of these activities is for the immigrants. But the youth, when they are coming, they're out of that, excluded. They don't know what's going on. So there is the language barrier that should be fixed. So we must force the English, because that is how we will stick together. That's one of the issue. Number 3, there is a cultural barriers between the immigrants and the youth, and this is big issue. This is big issue in these days. Almost every mosque, almost every mosque has this issue, the cultural barriers between the immigrants and the youth. Because our kids, they are American, they are Muslim Americans. Yeah, we can teach them a language. It will be broken in, broken language, the mother language, but their mother language is English whatsoever. You can force them to speak Bosnian, Turkish, Arabic, Urdu, Albanian, whatever language, but still, when they are together, they're speaking English. So, and then the cultural thing, they know the culture where they're growing up here in America, and we are forcing ours, traditional way and this way and that way, so they're confused. And sometimes they go visit our countries where we belong to see, but they like to stay here because that is a place they belong to. So there is ethnic, background, and there is a barrier between, what we call it, between us and them. Mentality is different and different way of thinking. And of course, sometimes we are forcing our ideas over theirs. Another issue is that khutbas, or religious speech, and other lectures don't necessarily address the youth issue, and that is a big case in these days. We don't. Either we don't have chance, or even if there is a lecture for the youth, there is always, especially if it's imam is really tough, is always what is wrong and what is right. There is nothing like trying to teach youth on not trying to be flexible, but teaching them on the right way, how to think, why something is wrong or why something is right, and so on. So it must be much more work on these subjects. Another thing is the lack of belonging and the ownership of the masjid, or the mosque, or the Islamic centers. Who is owning these mosques? Majority of the mosque in the USA is built, of course, by the immigrants who came here, earn somehow money, and they rule the mosque. And every mosque applies by their rules, and those are rich people who are controlling basically the mosque. And that is case in the many, if not majority of the mosque in US in this country. It's ruled by those rich people. And then, of course, the youth, they don't feel that they are belong. They don't have any kind of, how do you call it, connection. So there is no way to be in the board. It's very, very, very few mosques that you can find the young board, or the generation, the new generation is ruling the Islamic centers in the USA. Majority of those mosques are ruled by those people, and they're pushing those youth out, and they don't feel they belong to the mosque, because whatever they try to, any idea, they're immediately stopped and is going. Then they don't feel belonging to these mosques. So that is another issue. The other issue is lack of activities that are appropriate, age appropriate. So a good number of activities, revolve around the lecture, speeches, seminars, this and that. But if you want to use mosque for some other things, then there is barrier, there is, not allowed, and so on. We are very tough about that. So we don't have this kind of flexibility where it should be when we come to the youth, so they can practice different, like, for example, karate or taekwondo, or, in big places that they can use something that will not ruin the rule or the ahkam al-masjid or mosque. And another thing is lack of clear vision as to what is desired and expected. So even though if you say, okay, invite them, when they are here, we don't know what to do with them. We don't have the plan. We don't have the future of what we are trying to do or what we are trying to address them. That is big issue. When they are here, we don't know. We're just trying. You have to do this. You have to do that. And then we squeeze them to the corner. They say, no, 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 I don't belong here. It's something is wrong. Here is something is wrong. So there must be plan. For example, if we have youth in our city here in Bowling Green, it will be good so to have youth activities, and they work on their organization to know how many students are on the Western. They know how many business Muslims are around us. Whenever there is something, they can go through them. So how many doctors we have, or how many doctors we need in different fields, in the nurses or engineers or pilots or this and lawyers, this and that, or politicians in the city, representatives in the police, and all of these. We don't have this data. We are nothing. We don't know anything. Everybody works for himself. No, we as a we're supposed to work together, and that is good if we have this group of the youth who are taking care and managing everything, and reconnect to the mosque and going through the mosque. How much we need people in this field, and we need to support each other, work on that. But when that will happen, we'll see. Maybe in the near future, when we have the youth who are thinking that way. Other thing is, limited facilities in the mosque or Islamic centers have resulted in a few activities that appeal to the youth and the youngsters. So majority of the mosques are very small. They don't have enough space. Maybe this does not apply to us. We have big, huge place, but some other big cities, like, they have small room that is enough maybe for the prayer or the Jummah, or even Ramadan, and that's all. And usually, even if we have, for example, which is very bad for us as a community, we have huge facility, but the mosque is empty, as you can see it right now. Or the other facility over there, ICC, we use it only in Ramadan. Why we build it? We spend money to gather, right? But we don't do that. So there is responsibility for that. So that is bad as well. Another thing, lack of understanding as what the challenges of the youth are. So it may not apply all these challenges that I'm mentioning right now, but we shared as imams all these. Everybody mentions a couple of them. We just go around and collect them together. So most common things. So maybe some we can address, or we think it is, or I as imam think this is the challenge for the youth, but they say no, it's not. That is irrelevant challenge to us. We have something else. So that is why it's good when they have something to come with these challenges and to try to find out the solution for that. It's not only like boyfriend, girlfriend, alcohol, drugs, music, and so on and so forth. Another issue is rigid gender-related rules that may or may not be explicitly verbalized. So youth or shabab do not know how to interact with the opposite gender, or people using, Eastern techniques in North America, So the marriage process, how they make the marriage. So we see in these past 20 years that majority of these Muslims youth assimilated completely 100%. There is nothing wrong. We can talk about that. I think it's challenge assimilation, but it may not be. There is, pros and pros for assimilation is not wrong, but everything 100% for sure it's wrong. There is things you as a Muslim, either you're a girl or boy, there is things you can, and the others you cannot do it. Not everything is okay. So that in order to find out what is that, we need to learn before we do. So all these things cannot be applied on all youth. Why? Because not everybody knows. There is so many of them don't know how to pray, that they don't know basics. So we have to start from A to educate ourselves in order to practice. We cannot practice right now. We have to do this if you don't know. First of all, we need to learn. That is the process. Once you learn, you try, apply. So the first verse comes to the Prophet ﷺ, Iqra, right? And everybody knows it. Iqra, read in the name of Allah. So once you read, you start to think, right? So you gain knowledge. You gain knowledge. So once you gain the knowledge, so then you start putting the practice in action. The same thing like when we talk about the challenge in these days, like Sharia law, you have to apply Sharia. Sharia what, man? Do you understand what's Sharia first of all? In the very, do you understand what's Sharia? If you don't, so that doesn't apply in Sharia. You have to know things. Even the Prophet in the very beginning, in the 13 years, even when he went to the Medina, did not apply Sharia immediately until people reach to that level. They learn about everything, rules and regulations, and they provide them everything, and then following the rules. Following rules without knowledge, it does not apply to the people. The other thing is that all Islamic centers are known for having board conflicts, which is a huge turn off for many Muslims of all ages. And that is well known. There is no mosque that does not have these conflicts, either with the imam, either in between them, either with the people, especially when they come to switch, turns. It's now a turn. The other group to lead the community, the first group said, no, we have to write and it's mess. And then, of course, when the youth are looking to them, what they are doing, because to be a leader of the community, if people are whatever is voting for you, then that's fine. If they are voting against you, there is nothing to ask. That's fine. Even for the imam, if you want to Islamic way, you voting against imam, Assalamu alaikum, thank you, see you next. That is Islamic way, but to fight to be a leader or to be something, that is un-Islamic, and that's what we see in Islamic Center is going un-Islamic way. So what do you think about this organization? Is typical Muslim organization, meaning they aren't organized and there is no rules. It's drama. It's drama. It's movie. You watch the movie. There is no Islamic Center at all. It's just the name. Other thing is the youth lack of foundation until their later years. So that is, when they are young, they try to taste everything, to go here and there. Once they recognize they don't belong in that or in such community or such group of the people or such places, so then they start to return. They start to think, because once you get the older and older, you think about the death, you think about the things. So then you're coming back and you are trying to search for Muslim identity. Because Muslim identity is today in big question, especially with the youth. And other things, or last thing that I can mention tonight, is that many Muslims youth who come to the Islamic centers feel judged and therefore feel uncomfortable how they wear, if they are wearing a different way, how they and they're questioning them. And then even if there is some activities that they are organizing and trying to announce on the language that community uses, they tell them, you don't know how to speak, it's broken, your language is broken. As our English is perfect. Our English is, majority of immigrants are broken English. But our kids, they know better English than us, but they don't tell us it's broken English. But they're still quiet and listening to us. So they feel uncomfortable, and then if they are dressed, how they dress, why you're dressing like that, you don't know how to pray properly, and so, or if it's girl, why you're not wearing a hijab, or why is this way and that, they are just leaving the mosque and finding themselves they don't belong to that community. So these 13 things that I mentioned should not, or it should not apply only on this community, but in majority of the communities or Islamic centers does apply. Some of them more or less, and there is things we can add or take off. That's up to us. But most important, that there is big problem, there is issue that need to be solved, especially with youth. So now, how to give them the role for the youth? Any Islamic center, do we find there is some of the Islamic centers who have ladies in the board, but not that as minority, very few. As they don't know how to rule. Maybe they can rule Islamic center better than any man. And that is disappointment for the woman from the Islamic centers. Because The woman was manager of markets in the time of Umar ibn Khattab. In his time, that lady was known in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. She used to be mu'allima, she used to be teacher, and her name is Shifa al-Adawiyya. And she was appointed by Umar ibn Khattab as a caliph to lead and to manage the markets. So the woman can rule the Islamic centers maybe better than men, but they don't have chance to get that because of these things is going in their heads. So what could be the future of Islam then here in America if we don't take care about our youth and we don't give them the rule to be included in Islamic Center, instead to be asked for something and to give some kind of the suggestions from their side, not only to the imam, to the community, but to everybody in the community, including board and imam and the people, because they are here. They know much more things than we do. They know what's going in the schools, in the universities. They know what's going among the friends. So they have to have chance to talk. For example, how many years? 20 years Islamic Center bowling it, right? We never find that one of the youth talks in front of the community. Never. I don't know, maybe before me, but when I'm here, we never had that opportunity. One of our youth to stand in front of the community and tell them something. While all these kids are good in the school and they are talking publicly, especially when there is a graduation, they are talking publicly. There is no issue. There is value in them, but we don't give them this opportunity. Because, what do you say? Sit down, you are too young, you don't understand anything. We discourage them. And that is not the role of Islamic Center. We need to give them this chance. They have to give them their rule. So they have so many ideas, I do believe, but they don't know how to connect to the Islamic Center or to those who are ruling Islamic Center. So we should, give them this role and try our best to not lose them, but instead to be our leaders. And I believe that, of course, every community, every nation believes in youth, because youth is future. If we lose that future, then we are close our subject. There is no need to talk about, because youth plays the main role in our time. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of us to the straight path and to increase our faith and to open our mind and to give to our youth chance and to give them our hug. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum. If there have any questions before we close, any suggestions, you are more than welcome. You are done. Anyhow, you are more than welcome. You have to feel free and then come and